All right, stat students, we are still looking at some aspects of creating your project. And what we're going to focus on here is the graph, the scatter plot. Um, eh, there are some differences in how we did it using the uh, formative worksheets because of how, anyway, there's some glitches here so that you might run into, and I just want to highlight those things and give you some tips on how to maneuver the graph. Um, so where are we in the graph in the instructions? We're in here, number 3 and number 4. And if I wanted to see how number 3 and 4 look, I go to the example and I can see that this slide has the equation of the line of best fit, and that's how it looks with the context, and there's the graph. So I'm looking to make that kind of a scatter plot with the line of best fit. All right, so to do that, I need to go to the calculator, that Desmos calculator, and you can highlight it, copy and paste that, right? Or when you do in Google, this pops up, and if you just click on there, it gives you the graph. Okay, so here it is. When we did these in class, you could just copy and paste the table right into there, and you would get your scatter plot, right? So if I try to do that here, copy, the data points, and I go to the graph, and I paste them in here, it just lists them out all in a row, and that doesn't actually do anything about plotting my points. I need the table. So the way you actually can go about getting the table, there's two ways. You can take your data, recopy everything. All right, so you've got your whole data set. You can copy it, but then you can make them into coordinate points yourself so that when you cut and paste it, it will cut and paste like a full table. So what am I saying? I go down here after I've copied that, and I paste without formatting. And it just gives me the whole list of numbers again, right? That's one way to go about it. Now, I still need to make them coordinates. So if you remember, like the first point that I have is 47, 30. So I have to go down here and actually make that. The 30 is below the 47. So I have to go 47, space, and then 30. Actually, if you don't do a space, that's fine too. It doesn't really matter. So then after I make that comma, I go down the next one, 23, 11. I just delete 11 to get to the coordinate, 22, 16, 34, and you do that for every single point. So once you've made your points down here, you then copy and paste that list like that. You got to go all the way down and do all of the points that way. Okay, so that's great. You go highlight it. Now that you've done your coordinates that way, you can copy that, go to your graph, click into the box, and then once you paste it, it pastes in like you normally would have it. That way is great because it then shifts your window and it makes the window look like the full view, right? And it has all the points in view like that. So I like that, just it's doing it that way just for that reason. If you wanted to do it by hand, that's another option as well. The only difference is you might have to adjust the graph. So what am I talking about doing the data points by hand? Well, because we can't just simply cut and paste right from the table, you either have to make the coordinate points in another list like this down at the bottom, or you will take the graph, all right, And here's how it pops up for you. It's like a 10 by 10 or 10 by whatever, 15, 16. To get the table, you go to the top left corner and hit the plus sign. And you'll see there's an option to get a table. And you're going to plug in that option so that now you can plug in your table. Okay? And this one requires you to actually go to your list and look at the numbers and plug them in one at a time. All right. So you can take a picture of this so you have it on your phone and you can just start to type in the things, or you just go back and forth. So 47 comma 30, that's the first point. So I do 47 in the X and 30 in the Y, right? And then I go down to the next point, 23 and 11. So I go back to the graph, 23 and 11. Next one, 22 and 16. That's the wrong one. Here, 22 and 16. And then you get the idea. You just keep going back and forth. 34, 20. You just put in all your points. Now, that doesn't take a long time, right? But if you notice, I don't see my points in my screen here. And that's because the graph itself, the scale, is between 10 and 12, right? I have points at 47 and 30, 34, 20, those points. I don't see those here. So I'm going to have to zoom out a little bit. And that's the negative sign here, the minus on the top right corner. So that gives me something that's a little bit further out. Now I go even further to find 47, and then I can even click inside the graph and move it around so that I see all the points. So if you like to do it by hand, that's great. You just have to make sure that the window for the graph is viewable to see all your points. The next thing you want to make sure you have is the equation of the line, and you need to make sure that the x's, the symbols line up, right? So this is x1 in your column, so the graph or the equation of the line should also be x1. And the y should also be y1. So you just change those, and now you've got the best fit line. So get all 12 points in, make sure that the window is in a good viewing area so that you see everything. And the last thing is label. So go to the wrench, and you can change the viewing window by looking at the x-axis. You can go between negative, 1 if you want, to just 50 if you want, and change the window that way also. You can change how it looks to get everything in that way. And then the labels go in here. You're talking about sacks for X, and then you go down for Y and do that one. You'll see those there. Remember, if you want to move where the label is, you hit the space bar and you'll start to see it move down the line, okay? And then you can take your photo, your screenshot, and plug that into your project, okay?